Meeting to order. I'll remind people that we are recording today's meeting in accordance with our standard protocol. It'll be for record keeping and minute purposes and also available afterwards. I would also do my reminder that to help people follow both the conversation and for our note keeping purposes, it's helpful if people introduce themselves by name before they speak and when they're recognized. And we will also be taking a couple roll call votes today that need to be recorded. So I'll note that at the top. So Marcin, can I ask for you to take the roll call attendance and confirm that we do in fact have our quorum?
Yes, Mr. Chair, we do have a quorum. I just want to add that this meeting is also being live streamed on the Access Health CT website. Roll call for attendance. Claudio Gualtieri, Chair.
Here.
Grant Ritter.
Here.
Carlene Zambetti on behalf of Commissioner Nancy Navarrete from DMS.
Good morning, here.
Good morning. And Matthew Brackman. Yes, Mr. Chair, we do have a quorum.
Thank you. Excellent. So that brings us to just an introduction of some of the Access Health staff and Clifton Larson Allen representatives. I'll just ask them for a brief moment to introduce themselves.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. James Michelle, Access Health Connecticut. Susan?
Good morning, Susan Rich-By, Director of Legal and Governmental Affairs, Access Health Connecticut.
And Mr. Chairman, with your permission, I'd like to introduce our new Director of Finance.
Absolutely, go ahead.
Okay, Holly Zwick. Holly?
Good morning, everyone. Holly Zwick, Director of Finance, Access Health Connecticut.
Welcome officially, Holly. Good to have you on board.
Thank you very much.
I think we said a couple more. I think is Sinisha on? No, Sinisha's not on. That's for tomorrow. Okay. And CLA?
I think Pam was on. Oh, sorry, James.
Yeah.
I think Pam and Anne-Marie were on too from finance team.
Pamela Anne-Marie, introduce yourselves, please.
Pam Rao, Access Health Connecticut Controller.
And Anne-Marie Chapman, Access Health Controller.
One more, folks. Glenn Jurgen, Director of Human Resources, Access Health Connecticut.
And just to point out, we're in the process of transitioning the controller position from Pam to Anne-Marie, so we don't technically have two controllers.
Thank you, Susan, for providing that clarity. I was going to do it, but thank you.
Thank you. Sorry. With the auditors on and the audit committee, I just wanted to be clear. Thank you.
Nicoletta, please go ahead.
Nicoletta McTighe, Clifton Larson Allen, CLA, the auditors.
Great. So that brings us to the next time. This is Claudio, and the next item for our agenda is public comment. Marcin already informed us ahead of time that there was no written comment or request for public comment sent to us prior to today's meeting. I'll just pause and confirm that then we can move on to our next item.
Yes, Mr. Chair, we have not received any public comments for today's meeting.
Great, thank you. Moving to the next is our review of the meeting minutes from our last meeting, which was June the 8th. Meeting minutes were included, the draft minutes were included in our packet. I trust that the committee members had a chance to review them. I'll now entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
Hi, this is Grant. Motion to approve.
Thank you, Grant. Motion is made. Do I have a second?
This is Carlene Zambetti, second.
Thank you, Carlene. Motion is made and seconded. Any discussion or need for edits, corrections on the draft minutes that were submitted for June 8th? Seeing none, we can take a roll call vote to adopt the minutes as they were submitted.
Claudio Gualtieri?
Yes.
Grant Ritter?
Yes.
Carlene Zambetti?
Yes.
Matthew Brackman? Thank you.
Great. The meeting minutes are approved. The next item up for agenda is a review of the audited financial statements for FY 2023. For this, I'll turn to Susan Rich-By, who will then introduce our team from CLA.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Susan Rich-By, Access Health Connecticut. So as you probably know, we are required under both state and federal law to engage independent outside auditors to perform a financial audit every year, and also under the ACA to perform what's called a programmatic audit to audit our compliance with our exchange requirements as a state exchange. So I will turn it over to Nicoletta McTighe from CLNA, who is our outside auditor, to present the results of these two audits. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Nicoletta McTighe, principal with CLA. If you can move to the next slide. So I'm here today to present the results of the 2023 audit of the financial statements and the programmatic audit. In this slide, there is a quick agenda. I'll go over the terms of engagement, an executive summary of audit results, a couple financial highlights as of June 30th, 2023, results of programmatic audit, and required communications. Included in the presentation is my contact information and upcoming GASB pronouncements. So we were engaged to express an opinion as to whether the basic financial statements are presented fairly in accordance with accounting principles generally accepted in the United States of America, or GAAP, to report on internal control over financial statements and compliance with the provisions of laws, regulations, contracts, and grant agreements in accordance with government auditing standards, or as you probably have heard, being called a Yellow Book audit letter, and to report on compliance with the programmatic requirements set forth by CMS in accordance with Title 45 CFR Part 155. As a result of our audit, we expressed an unmodified opinion on the basic financial statements as of and for the year ending June 30th, 2023. So the unmodified opinion is the highest form of opinion that can be received on the financial statements. Under the Yellow Book letter or government auditing standards, we issued a report on internal controls over financial reporting, and we did not notice any finding. So the report was clean. Also related to programmatic audit, we had a clean audit without any compliance findings. So overall, the summary is clean. All reports were clean. On the next couple slides, I have I presented the summarized information, financial information. The first one is related to statements of net position 23 versus 22. And as you can see, total net position at year end was $35.1 million, slightly down $209,000 from prior year of $35.3 million. Under column 22, you'll see the notation as restated because Access Health implemented GASB 96, which is the SEBITA's subscription-based information technology arrangements. And as a result of GASB 96 implementation, a new liability is in the books, and the new category of assets is in the books also. So subscription assets are included under the capital assets net of accumulated depreciation section, and the related liability with those assets is under subscription liability line. So GASB 96 was implemented for fiscal year 23 as required. But since Access Health presents comparative financial statements, then all periods presented in the financial statement should show the numbers as if this was implemented a year before. So that's why 2022 has a notation as restated for implementing the GASB 96. Next slide. As you can see, there's the detail on that $209,000 reduction on the net position. Total expenses exceeded the total revenue by $209,000. Regarding revenues, they were consistent with prior year, $32.6 million versus $32.4 million, so a slight increase of $260,000. As you'll notice, In the revenue section, intergovernmental revenues went down because there is no COVID grant for 2023 that was applicable in 2022, where we perform a federal single audit also. Federal single audit was not needed in the current year since the expenditures related to the federal grants received in the current year were under $750,000 threshold required to have a federal single audit. Expenses, as you can see, increased by about $1.3 million. So overall, they brought overall net position down by almost $210,000. So if there are any questions on this slide, you can ask them now, or we can move on to the programmatic audit.
Hi, yes, this is Grant. Could you go over other income again? What was the $1 million there?
I have to look into audit. I don't have the detail in front of me,
Just wondering if
unfortunately,
you were
right
getting
now.
a much higher interest payment, because you have cash. I mean,
Yes, part of it. I just don't want to speak out of my memory. Just I need to open up something.
Well, it is rather substantial increase.
Yes, it definitely was. Just sorry, I was not prepared for that. To have that in front of me.
Grant, you're right, Grant. The biggest part of that was the interest income, which we had budgeted.
Yes.
And that came out much, much higher. But we could confirm that and officially and get back to you.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I just don't have that detail in front of me right now. Sorry, I'm just looking up something.
So Pam, are you able to confirm that, Pam?
I think it's a combination of interest on our STIF account, which with the raise in interest rates was approaching $100,000 a month. And we also have a rebate program that we started this year for our credit cards. So that was a little bit of it, but it's mostly interest.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, I have the detail now in front of me. So for fiscal year 23, the interest income was $898,000 versus $65,000 in the prior year. So that was the majority of that $1 million. And included in that is a private, there are a couple of smaller private grants in the amount of $137,000. And then the miscellaneous revenue that Pam just mentioned. So majority is from the interest income earned during the year. I just wanted to make sure that I had the right numbers there in front of me before I spoke.
Thank you. Right. Yes.
Thank you. Programmatic audit. Access Health, as Susan mentioned, is required to have a programmatic audit to ensure that Access Health is in compliance with subpart of 45 CFR Part 155. That section has several requirements which are listed on this slide, but only the 4 bolded and underlined requirements are required to have a report on. So as part of the audit, we review all the requirements and ensure that Access Health is in compliance with them, but then we are required to report on only subparts C, D, E, and K. So general functions of the Access Health, eligibility determinations, enrollment functions, and qualified certification of qualified health plan. So we did our audit, and as part of the audit, we did not find any non-compliance. So our opinion on the compliance with programmatic audit was clean. So it was unqualified opinion. Next slide, please. So there were no findings reported, and we did not have any additional recommendations as far as the Access Health programmatic audit compliance goes. Next slide. As part of the audit, we are required to communicate certain items which are listed in this slide and in the next one. The first one is related to qualitative aspects of accounting practices. As I mentioned initially, Access Health implemented Statement 96, subscription-based information technology arrangements for the year, and that resulted in increased assets and liabilities at year end. Included in the report, there are a couple of accounting estimates, the first one being useful life of capital assets, which in turn decides the depreciation expense, which is reported in the capital assets section of the report, and the incremental borrowing rate that was used in calculating right-to-use assets and for LISA and SEBITA assets and liabilities is a number that would determine what those the calculations are going to be. So depending on the interest rate that is being used for discounting future payments, that the number on the asset and liability could be slightly different. So as part of the audit, we reviewed those estimates and we deemed them appropriate in the context of the financial statements. We did not have any difficulties to perform the audit. There were no uncorrected misstatements reported. We did not have any disagreements with the management, and management signed the management representation letter, meaning that they provided us to their best of knowledge all the information that pertains to the financial statements. In the next slide, there are a couple more required communications. The first one here on the slide is related to management consultation with other independent accountants. We are not aware that the management had any of those consultations, and usually those could happen during the audit if they disagree or if they're shopping for other opinions. There were no significant issues discussed with management prior to the engagement, and there were no significant findings or issues that were discussed or subject of correspondence with management. Included in the report, there's a section that's considered requires supplementary information, and that's management discussion analysis is part of that requires supplementary information. We do not express an opinion on that section of the report, but it's required by government auditing standards to be reported as part of the financial reporting. As part of the audit, we look at what's in the management discussion analysis to ensure that the numbers presented there tie to the financial statements, but we do not express an opinion on that section. Also included in the supplementary information, there is a budgetary schedule of expense. Again, that's just a supplementary information in the not part of the basic financial statements. The management decided to add those schedules for more information to the readers of the financial statements. Next slide. Here I listed the new GASB standards that are going to be applicable for fiscal years 24 and 25. They may or may not be applicable to Access Health. Statement 99 is an omnibus statement that has some correction and clarification, language clarification for some older statement, mostly to do with pension or PEB and some other ones. Statement 100 clarified how will an accounting change or an error correction should be recorded, should that be applicable. So if there are no accounting changes or error corrections for next year or going forward, that will not affect Access Health financial reporting. And for fiscal year 25, Statement 101 is going to be applicable. GASB went over revisited an older statement related to compensated absences and made clarification on what should be included on that type of liability. Currently, Access Health does not report any compensated absences, but should they do in the future, Statement 101 is going to be applicable for Access Health. So currently, I don't foresee any big implementation issues with either of what's coming down the line to be implemented. And I believe next slide is my contact information should anyone have any questions related to the audit. And that concludes my prepared presentation for today. I'm here for any questions.
Thank you, Nicoletta. That was very helpful. This is Claudio again, and I will just pause to see if members of the committee have any additional questions before we move on. Seeing none, I think that at this time we probably want to take the motion to approve them, right, Marcin? And then we'll go on to the next one afterwards. So we'll take this as separate votes.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Do you want to advance the next slide just so that we have the?
There's no voting slide, so we're just gonna vote. I'm just gonna make a vote.
All right, sounds good. So I will then entertain a motion to accept the financials as presented. Please, do I have such motion?
Carleen Zambedi, I'll make a motion
Okay.
to approve the minutes as presented.
Not the minutes, though.
Oh, I'm sorry, not the minutes. Yes, the report.
Mr. Chair, I would like to I would like to state the motion. Chair requests a motion to approve the fiscal year 2023 AHCT audited financial statements as presented. That's the motion.
Thank you, Marcin. Do I have, is that moved by you, Carleen?
Yes.
Great. So motion has been moved. Do I have a second? I can second it. I will second it. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we can take a roll call to adopt the motion.
Claudio Gualtieri?
Yes.
Graham Ritter?
Yes.
Carleen Zambedi?
Yes.
And Matthew Brackman. Thank you. And Mr. Chair, right now we're moving to the fiscal year 2023 programmatic audit report. So there will be a motion to approve the fiscal year 2023 programmatic audit report as presented.
Okay, great. I will ask for such a motion.
Yeah, hi, this is Grant. I'll move to accept the programmatic report, audit report.
All right, Grant Ritter moves to approve the FY 2023 programmatic audit report as presented. I will second such motion. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll take a vote.
Claudio Gualtieri?
Yes.
Graham Ritter?
Yes.
Carleen Zambedi?
Yes.
And Matthew Brackman. Thank you.
I think that brings us, this is Claudio again. I think that brings us to our next item that Susan Richby is going to talk about, which is the SMART update.
Thank you, everybody. Susan Richby again, and I will give you an update on our CMS state-based marketplace annual reporting tool, also known as the SMART. So the ACA requires state-based marketplaces to keep accurate accounting of all of our activities, our receipts and expenditures, and also to monitor and report on our exchange-related activities to HHS. And then we're also required to complete an annual report and engage an independent auditor to perform an annual independent financial and programmatic audit, as we just had presented here today, to ensure that we comply with all of the regulations and standards. So back in 2015, CMS developed this handy online reporting tool for all of the state exchanges to use, known as the SMART. So it combines all of these requirements all into one location. So the items that the SMART looks at are eligibility and enrollment policy, our ability to report on collecting and submitting standardized performance monitoring data related to QHPs, and tax credits and CSR eligibility determinations, also enrollments, disenrollments, and special enrollment periods. And then another item is the financial and programmatic audits that you just approved. Also program integrity to make sure that we have the proper policies in place. And finally, it finishes with an attestation of completion that we've completed our requirements to CMS. So for this year, Access Health filed its SMART for plan year 2022. It's done on a calendar year on June 1st, and on September 29th, CMS issued its SMART summary of observations and action items to AHCT, and CMS, I'm happy to report, did not identify any action items for this SMART filing. So we're in very good shape, and we just wanted to make sure that the audit committee, and we'll let the board know this month as well, that all these things have been filed and completed, and we're all in good shape. So thank you. If anyone has any questions.
That's excellent. Thank you. This is Claudio. Any questions from committee members? Seeing none, we're moving through this very quickly. That's great. I think our only last item then is a motion for adjournment. So I will request, the time is now 10:26 on November the 8th. I will request a motion to adjourn.
Yes, hi, this is Grant. Move to adjourn.
Thanks, Grant. Motion is made. Do I have a second?
Carleen Zambetti, I'll second.
Thank you. Motion is made and seconded. We'll take a roll call to adjourn.
Claudio Galtieri,
Yes?
Grant Ritter,
Yes.
Carleen Zambetti,
Yes.
and Matthew Brackman. Thank you.
Have a good afternoon, a good day, everyone.
Thank you very much,
you.
all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
I know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.